When I say I'm good, I mean that, because when you think about the places that we're going, humans going into a place, the water, where basically we're dead. If we don't have air from the outside to help us live, or that tethering thing to bring us back up, we wouldn't survive. We're like seconds away from death when we're under the water, because that is not our environment. So when I think about the differences between what I did and those billionaires who spent $250,000 to go, there is a difference. Look at the place where they were going. The Titanic is a graveyard. I think that when you are going to go visit a graveyard, you got to be respectful. And I know that they've done many excursions down there. They've gotten pictures of the Titanic. They mapped it out, all that kind of stuff. They've had several man trips before over the years in that same type of submersible. But it seems like with all that money, they should have had top-notch everything. There were some things about a whistleblower and things weren't exactly right. Maybe things weren't up to code as far as safety. If you have all of that money, $250,000 just to go, we got $250,000 to go. Let's just go let's go on a submarine ride down to the bottom of the ocean. And that money is just a drop in the bucket of all the money they really do have. So when you have that kind of money, why wasn't everything top notch? I know the controller looked like it was a PlayStation, and I understand that type of controller is used in a lot of things today involving our military and other things. But, make sure everything was top notch. If you have that kind of money to go on a trip like that, everything should have been state of the art to give those people the most chances to survive. And I am so sorry that happened to them, because apparently there was a catastrophic implosion, which probably is the best way to go because it was instant and they didn't even know anything was happening, which is probably good. And on the way down, because they were in pitch black, they probably saw parts of the Titanic just from a distance, I guess. But I understand that when you're that far down in the ocean, because the light from the sun, cannot reach the bottom, it's pitch black. It's an inky black. And some people even say the water itself has changed color, like it's a dark navy blue. And so you can't see through that. And it's cold down there as well. So they were going into conditions that were not great physically for the human body. And with the sub that they were in, they were bolted in from the outside. So even if they wanted to get out, let's say they made it to the surface and did all the things that they had 7 things in place that they could kick off ballast and make it back to the surface. If they were able to do those things, they still couldn't get out once they got to the surface because they were bolted in from the outside. So that wasn't the best case scenario. It seems like there should have been some sort of way that even though they were secure in there, that they would have a way to get out from the inside if they needed to. I don't know. Crazy. And so the Titanic, again, it's a graveyard. When I think about visiting graveyards and doing things in waters where there are bodies and possibly angry spirits or spirits don't want you down there, I think of Lake Lanier. Think of Lake Lanier. That is a haunted place. Excuse me. With the amount of trials and tribulations that the people who went through, who died, when the water covered the whole town of Lake Lanier, all the black people. It's not a place. The waters of Lake Lanier aren't good. You don't need to go in that kind of water. You don't need to go in the water where the Titanic is. It's that kind of water. It's spirit water. It's a graveyard down there. Let the dead rest. We don't need to be going down there 500 times just to see the same ship and take pictures of the same thing. I know that they're trying to map things over time, deterioration, but we know it's going to deteriorate. It's in the ocean, people. And we don't need to go down that far. Send down robotic things, yes. Take pictures, but human beings, we don't need to be that far under the ocean because it can't support our life. And the slightest little thing can happen and it's all over. So I'm indeed sorry that happened to those people. They were explorers, very rich people, very rich families, and that $250,000 is just probably a little pinch. Meant nothing to them as far as going on, hey, let's just take a sub ride down to the Titanic. but it's just a shame that all of that money, whether you have money or not, when you're in an environment that is not meant for humans, we are all, and they're just like me. When I was under the ocean, we were all a second away from death because anything can go wrong. And it can, and it does. If you take enough trips down there to the bottom of the ocean or even in space, things are going to happen. And they have, and they do. So that's something to really consider. In addition to doing the helmet diving, let me tell you about one thing about that when we got back to the ship. We had no problems when we were down there. Everybody from our trip helmet diving in the Bahamas made it back on board, and everything was good. Now, I had one little complication, which, we signed waivers, liability, all of that kind of stuff. But when I got on the boat, I don't know if I came up too fast or what, or, the pressure did something to me. So when I got on the boat, the pressure had affected my ears and head. I was deaf. I had no hearing. It was a silent world, and I was terrified. I couldn't hear. I didn't tell anyone on the boat that I couldn't hear. I just kind of got my towel wrapped up and just kind of stood with everybody else and just was quiet, like I was looking out into the ocean. And I figured maybe this is going to just clear up by itself. But no matter what, we had a long ride back to civilization because we traveled out into the middle of the ocean for at least an hour. So we had a long ride back. And I thought, I won't tell anyone until we get back. If it's not cleared up by the time we get back to civilization, then I would tell someone. So I'd say about halfway through, like maybe 30 minutes into our ride back, all of a sudden, the sound when you take a bath and the last of the water drains out the bathtub and you hear that sound, like the water draining out? That sound happened inside my head. And it was so loud. I swear. I don't know if anyone else could hear it, but I could hear it. I heard that sound, and then all of a sudden my hearing was back. So whatever thing, the pressure had finally normalized or whatever, and I had my hearing back. That was the scariest thing for me. So that's why I was like, well, do I need to go under the water again? I don't know. I also had on my list to go, I guess that whole kind of scooter diving. And I'll put a picture of the scooter diving up. That was on my list, but I think I'm marking that off like that's a no-no. But I will put a picture up of me when I was doing the helmet diving and what a typical group of people look like when they're under the water. That's just a Google picture. But the picture of me with the starfish and the grouper, that is me when I was down there on the bottom of the ocean floor with the group that we went to. So, make good choices, people. I know we want to go out and do things, but we got to really think about it. Are you really safe? Have you done everything to keep yourself safe? And even when you do, you're still not safe enough because any little thing can happen and we're all a second away from death. And with that, go to beautiful places. Like I wanted to see a beautiful coral reef. I did not want to go visit a graveyard underneath the water. No. Let the dead be dead. Let them rest in peace, whether they be on land or in the sea. But if you want to go someplace and be adventurous, go to beautiful places. Don't go and disturb the dead. And, as far as going under the water that deep, I truly believe that that's not a place for humans. Anyway, talk to you later, alligators. Be safe out there. Bye.